moving into the 33rd season, and that was in 2009, which at the time of watching was 10 years prior. Samurai Sentai, Shinkenger. Not exactly a calligraphy brush, but yeah, sometimes I had to make do. Also, I wrote the character for Sa from Samurai, and the rest of it was just squiggles, which is how they morph. Well, they do the character of the element that they represent. This was a really fun season. It had heart, it had humor, bonds, character development, and of course, because, the samurai being a Japanese warrior and sticking to my statement that anytime Super Sentai does something Japanese, they get extra with it, this still applies. Like, they just managed to blend a lot of the modern and kind of traditional things. They don't really have team jackets, but they do use the traditional, I don't know what it's called, but it's not a kimono. I don't think it's necessarily a gi, but they do use traditional garb and outfits used in kendo and sword fighting that they use when they morph. Their morpher, the shotophone, is a mix between a regular cell phone and a calligraphy pen. And then their main weapons, the Shinkenmaru, their swords, has like a brixenoscope, and at the end of it where they put their disc and they spin it. I don't know why that was unique, I forget. And then their mechs are called origami. And it's kind of fun that the origami can shrink down and they can have it like a little, pet that they can watch over. Yeah, and then just the music in this was really good. The theme that they use when they morph, when they henshin, I use that when I go to the gym. I use that when I'm warming up, trying to get me amped up for my workout, or just like if I'm trying to amp myself up for something that's like somewhere in my playlist for trying to hype myself up. And they mix in the like a little bit of modern, kind of rocked out pop, and with some like traditional Japanese instruments. Like you can hear a wind flute, you can hear a little bit of a shamisen. Like I said, when they do Japanese, they go extra and they go hard, and it's a blast. So something that I really liked about this season was everyone's bonds and loyalty to Takeru, Shinken Red, but I will get to that in my favorite episode. So a number of the things that threw me off were actually my own fault because of a little bit of my background in Power Rangers, and going into this, I just kind of assumed a number of things. So when I started to notice certain similarities, I kind of already assumed that it's gonna be pretty close to Power Rangers, like in a lot of aspects, and it was. But some of the major aspects, I was actually completely wrong. So when they did Power Rangers Samurai and Super Samurai, it was when Saban bought the rights back from Disney, and I think at this point it was actually already on a year or even 2-year break from the previous Power Rangers that Disney did, which was Power Rangers RPM. So, they kind of tried to play it safe, I guess, by adapting it fairly closely. They didn't do the typical teenagers with attitude, but they did throw in their usual, comedic dynamic duo. And, it's pretty fun that this was centered around Bulk and Skull's son, whose name escapes me. When I saw that certain episodes played out the same, or a lot of characters just had certain similar characteristics. For instance, the Reds, obviously they were going to do the big secret plot twist. The Blues had to give up a certain passion and, or like the super loyal type, except Kabuki's not exactly popular in Western culture or America, so they adapted it to swimming. Greens, they were always kind of the disobedient, rebellious, rowdy one, but, and like played video games. but was still loyal. Yellow was taking over for her sister, and then Pink can't cook. That, and how a lot of the first several episodes played out, was enough to convince me, oh, a lot of this is going to be similar. So with Power Rangers, this was the first time they were doing their new sort of Megazord setup, where they have like the Mega Mode and Super Mega Mode, which, yeah, it's actually kind of cool. It gives it a little bit more distinction from the original source material. And like, they have these different like souped up suits. It's actually pretty cool. And speaking of souped up suits, I thought the Battleizer was going to be a part of it, but apparently not. They did have the Super Mode, but I thought like the big armored samurai Battleizer was going to be part of it, but apparently that's only Power Rangers. So, keeping to, Power Rangers usually do Battlizers, that still holds true. And, credit to Power Rangers, it looks pretty cool, it looks pretty good. It fits in with the aesthetic of some of the original source material. So because I made all these assumptions and just kind of assuming a lot of things were going to be similar, the big one that surprised me when I finally put two and two together, that was not, from the original source material, was that the original Shinkenger, who is, the true leader and, the secret that, that the Red Ranger was hiding from everyone else. In the original source material, they're not related. Because of what I assumed in Power Rangers, and because of what I saw in Power Rangers, and that they're siblings, and she's the older sibling, and, he was the decoy, I assumed that was going to be the case for Super Sentai. I was dead wrong. They did still do the big twist, and that he was the decoy, but they were not related. They were not brother-sister, like in Power Rangers. Instead, I think his dad or his family worked for the princess's family, and, he was able to use the same type of power that the princess could, which was the fire scriptomancy, and that's why they used him as the decoy. So when I found that out, I was like, oh, that was a Power Ranger thing, that wasn't a Super Sentai thing. Oh. Speaking of which, it's cool that they finally had a female Red Ranger. Even though, she wasn't part of the main team, the fact that there is a female Red Ranger is awesome. Although, in Power Rangers, they did technically do it first with the SPD A Squad Rangers, but technically they were evil. Actually kind of reminds me, I remember going to a panel at Power Morphicon, and that is the big Power Rangers convention held here in California, Los Angeles area. I went to a panel, and I forgot what the panel was, but the issue of having a female Red Ranger was brought up. I forget who was speaking, but they said that the producers or managers from Japan said, if you do this, if you make a female Red Ranger, they will no longer do business or something. But then they kind of did it anyway. Again, even though it wasn't the main team, they did it anyway, and lo and behold, like 5-6 years later, we finally got a form of a female Red Ranger. Moving forward, there really isn't another female Red Ranger. I mean, unless you count Gokai's Gokai changes and Dokuger's ability to switch colors, there isn't really a set, female Red Ranger again. But we'll see what the future holds. Kind of going back to the assumptions that I had that were different from Power Rangers and Super Sentai. It was pretty interesting how in Power Rangers they tried to, actually just Power Rangers in general, they tried to kind of lighten it up a little bit, because in Power Rangers, Samurai, Master Sandrid, who's the big leader of the villain team, he supposedly drinks medicine to calm his, because he has a headache condition, migraines. In the case of Super Sentai, he's straight up drinking sake. So they don't show him wildly drunk. Well, I guess unless you count him as a violent drunk, then kinda. His freaking nickname is like the Butcher. It's like, jeez. And then, in Power Rangers Samurai, they try to create a relationship between Dayu and Decker, and that's like where their history is and the tragedy of separated lovers and the sacrifice one had to make for the other and stuff like that. But then in Super Sentai, for one thing, there was no real relationship between the two, other than just both being former humans who became Gedoshu, which actually translates to the corrupted ones. And goddamn, they are dark. Freaking Juzo is a samurai who just started to kill people because he liked it, and then something about the souls that he kills becomes entrapped in the sword, and it's like a fallen samurai. And then, damn, even Dayu is even like scarier. She is a former human who became a Gedoshu, again a corrupted one, when she basically committed a murder-suicide at her desired one's wedding. So someone that she was longing for, was in love with, and albeit it was probably a one-sided relationship, was getting married to another woman, and set the freaking house on fire. He said that he still loves the other woman, kills them, and then commits suicide. And that's how she became Gedoshu. It's like, jeez. Again, another instance of sometimes I use some pretty dark stuff that makes me think, I don't think kid show is how I really want to categorize this. So something that they do with Shinkenger, and they start to have more fun with it. Actually, throughout the seasons, as they move through the seasons, they tend to have more fun with it. And what I mean by that is they start to cross it over with another Toei property, and that is Kamen Rider. So they actually had like a 2-part episode where Kamen Riders make an appearance and kind of throw a wrench into the whole thing. It's not exactly enough to warrant a crossover movie, but it's like little sprinkles or crumbs that they throw in just to maybe, for the sake of marketing and try to get them to move on to the other property or both. And then when it happened, I was like, well, wait, what's happening? And then it's like, Kamen Rider, oh. And then I kind of see this in later seasons. It's not super consistent, but you do kind of see it. With that being said, I am a little bit interested in Kamen Rider, but I'm afraid of falling into a hole, much like I did with Super Sentai, or even Naruto Shippuden, or anything I watch. Anything I do, I'm always like, I'm getting really into this, and then I just dive head in. So I'm trying to pace myself, and it makes me want to watch the Kamen Rider episode in which the Super Sentai make an appearance, but in time. And lastly, the thing that makes me sad, or the thing that threw me off, it just makes me sad, is because this was 10 years ago. Even though it's 2020 and this premiered in 2009, it concluded in 2010, which makes it 10 years ago. There is no 10 years after special, or at least as of February 17th, 2020, there is no 10 years after special. There still could be hope, because the 10 years after special for Deca Ranger came 10 years after its conclusion. So, in 2005. So, there's still a chance, but we'll see. I'm holding out hope, but I'm not exactly gonna put my money on it, because it was just a really fun, well done season. So I guess just on to my favorite episode, and that was Act 47, Bonds. And no, it doesn't really do the, Ashura versus Indra thing like I mentioned in Shinkenger, but in this episode, it's the culmination of everyone's bonds with Takeru. And basically, Takeru finally defeats Juzo, who is technically his rival throughout this entire series. He finishes him off. And at this point in the story, it has already been revealed that he was acting as the decoy for the actual Red Ranger of Kaoru Shiba, and everybody's trying to wrap their head around it. And Takeru just feels bad that he had to shoulder this whole secret and burden by himself, and that he felt like he didn't want to burden them further, and that's why he tried to not get too close to them. But unfortunately, he did anyway. And he's trying to tell them, you guys are samurai, you pledge your loyalty to the Shiba clan, who is actually Kaoru and not him. Because now his role as the decoy is essentially finished. That's when he kind of goes out on his own and tries to defeat Juzo by himself, which he does. I think they managed to find him just as they're fighting, and then they kind of give him the encouragement that he needs to finally finish off Juzo. But then that wasn't the big inspiring part of the episode, or even the season. The inspiring part was actually after the fight, and he's just kind of getting some rest, taking a breather after finally defeating Juzo. And the other rangers are there just kind of trying to talk to him, and he tries to push them away because he still feels guilty about having to hide the secret from them. But then kind of one by one, they all start to talk about how they don't care that he had to hide the secret, that he lied to them, that he deceived them. They still, even in that moment, pledged their loyalty to him. And they actually managed to not really do it in a spiteful way against Kaoru, because Kaoru is actually kind of understanding that she's taking on something that was built up by someone else. Even though, the way the structure is supposed to go, they should be loyal to her, but even she understands that what he built up was not because of a title or a role, and it's because he built it up himself as a person, and that is who they pledge their loyalty to. And it's actually a pretty inspiring scene, and especially with the music they play. Oh, it's good. Even Takeru, and not only does he finally release the baggage of feeling bad that he lied to them, but he feels touched that despite lying to them, that they still pledge their loyalty to him. And it's actually Mako, Shinken Pink, who helps him figure out that even though he didn't have the actual title as the head of the Shiba clan, everything he built up is properly his. And I'll actually get to that more in the Gokaider tribute episode. And this is where he finally opens up and lets himself fully trust in others, because he carrying this secret and not wanting to let them get too close, and not wanting to get close to them, he always tried to distance himself. But this is where he finally allows himself to fully trust in them, because the secret's out, the lie's out. Now they can only heal from here. I think the beautiful thing about this episode, and it's called Bonds for a reason, is friendship goes both ways. Technically you are burdening each other just to hang out or ask for favors, but you guys are friends. You have that close loyalty and relationship, and if they don't do it, who's going to? And, it's things like that, trials, tribulations, that is only gonna, make those bonds stronger. And so, maybe burden isn't the right word you want to use. I would not mind watching this again as like some kind of shonen anime or something. It was that fun. But yeah, friendship. Yeah, come to think of it, friendship is like the epitome of all shonen anime.